Everybody. Hello everybody, Glowplasma231 here, and recently the 6th season of the My Hero Academia anime wrapped up. It was about a week ago at this point, if I'm not mistaken, and during Season 6, I ended up rewatching the entire anime from the beginning, Episode 1 in Season 1, and doing that, I ended up pretty much catching back up right at the tail end of Season 6 with like 4 or 5 episodes left to go, and throughout that, of course, whenever you watch an anime really fast, have enjoyment doing it like I do with My Hero Academia, there's often one thing that you just need to do, and that is rank all of the openings and the endings by which ones you think are the best, and of course, which ones that you think are the worst, and that is exactly what I did. I took all 11 My Hero openings, starting from the day all the way to Bokorono, and ranked them by how good I think they are, and I've got a list going through 11 all the way down to number 1, which I think is the best opening. And through that, I just want to talk about these openings, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and just what a really good opening can do for an anime. And that's what I want to do. So, of course, this is going to be a very opinionated video, right? I mean, these are my opinions. Your opinions may differ a whole lot more than mine do. And that's really all I have to say. Oh, the other thing, I've got one more thing to say, actually. So, my ranking scale for these is mostly based off the songs themselves and a little bit off the animation. I have heard very few of these songs in the full version, and I will try not to judge them off any translations that I know or any full versions that I've listened to, just what is actually in the anime itself. So without further ado, I'd say let's get started with my number 11 pick. So my number 11 pick, what I think to be the worst opening in My Hero Academia, is actually the first opening, The Day. And so this is by a band called Porno Graffiti, which of course is, great name right there. That's a joke. I think that's a terrible name for a band, but that's besides the point. So this is the first opening, and with that, the visuals that we see are mainly just from the first section here, right? No cool shots of characters or anything, as we'll get in later openings. And just the song, it's a good first season, but it's not really what I sort of like. I sort of like your more rock openings, or your just more fun ones or slow openings. Well, this is sort of just like a J-pop opening, and it's just not something I'm really a massive fan of. I don't think it's bad in any particular way, but just out of everything, just like I always say, something has to be last and something has to be second to last. And with that, what is second to last, my number 10 pick is Star Maker. Now, Star Maker is the 7th opening of My Hero Academia, and the opening that plays in the second core of Season 4. It is written by Kanabun, which, if I'm not mistaken, are the same people that did that really famous Naruto opening, maybe? I don't know, let me research this real quick. Alright, I'm back, and if I'm not mistaken, I am right, it is the same people, which is interesting, because I've heard that opening a lot of times, and I think it's a fine opening, but the My Hero one is, like I said, something has to be second to last. I really don't think it's a bad opening. I think it is a really perfect opening for that time in the series with the sports festival and everything else that's going on, the characters getting their provisional license, and with that, the Gentle Criminal arc, which of course I think Gentle is probably one of the best villains in My Hero, just a one-off villain that appears and has a really cool story with him. So I really like Star Maker. It has the really interesting visuals of just that sort of very flowing, not quite a comic style yet, but if you've seen the opening, you know what I'm talking about, like all the characters walking around, General and La Brava into silhouettes and scenes. So I just think opening number 10 is very good, but I don't think it is perfect. And with that, let me go into my number 9 choice, which is actually number 1, which is the 8th opening of My Hero Academia, the one right following Star Maker, actually, in the first core of Season 5, and it is written by Dish, with 2 hyphens after it. So, sure, that works, or forward slashes, I don't know what you call those things. Backward slashes, I don't know. They're the slash-looking things. So, this is an opening that was actually the first new opening of My Hero that I saw, since I actually caught up to the anime in Season 4, so Season 5 was the first time I was watching weekly of My Hero. So I don't think number 1 is bad, but it is during one of the worst arcs, I would dare to say, which is the Class A versus Class 1B training sessions. I don't think they're terribly bad. It's just not the most interesting thing in the world, and thus this opening just didn't really do a whole lot for me. I do like the motifs that the song goes for sometimes, just that build up to the overall song, and I don't think it's a terrible song. It just is a number 9 song to me, and going on to number 8 now. So from number 8 really to number 5, I think these are all songs that are in this 8 to number 5. These 4 really can go anywhere in there. It's just whatever I'm thinking on the day I made this list. And, I mean, heck, from right now, whenever I'm recording this, which is about 3 days later, this may have changed in my mind, right? Because I think all of these songs from here on out are like a really good mid-tier song, and from here are just really good. So my number 8 pick is actually Odd Future, which is the 4th opening of My Hero Academia. So I really like this song. It is by Overworld, and it's just a really interesting song that has a lot of mixes of just weird and wacky in it. It sort of starts one of the trends where at the very end all of the characters just appear on like an apocalypse setting all of a sudden, which I just really like. And also it's got a lot of really interesting design motifs in it. There's a certain scene where Shigaraki is walking through a corridor with all these hands just pulling up around him, and I just really enjoy that scene, and I enjoy the music that goes with it. Like I said, I don't think any of these songs are bad at this point. It's just something's gotta be at the bottom, and that is what Odd Future is. I think it's really cool, but I just don't think it's better than some of the rest. So my opening pick for number 7 is actually going to be the most recent My Hero Academia opening, Bokorono, which is by Eve, of course, and airs in the second core of My Hero Academia Season 6. So really, I think this is a good song. I do like Eve, and while I don't think it's their best song, I do enjoy it. And the opening, I think, has a lot of good to it. It really fits the arc overall, but the visuals at points really are what bring this down for me. I think most of the visuals are really good during Season 6. I mean, of course there's this big debate going on in the community right now, but I think that they're overall pretty good. But just the visuals in Bokorono, whenever Deku is moving, he just, all the speed lines around him, or whenever there's the big sort of fight going on between Class A and Deku, it's just the visuals during that point. It's just a large spread out field and just sort of blurs moving around, and it's an opening, right? It's something that it's a minute 30 seconds and you only have to make once. You may change out one scene in it, but just put into giving you some good animation to it. Because to be honest, this isn't it. I mean, this really is not great visuals. Great song, which is why I'm keeping it at number 7, but if those visuals or the song were any worse, Odd Future would be over it any day of the week. And with that, let's go to my number 6 pick, which is actually the other opening from Season 6 of My Hero Academia, Hiramuki, by Super Beaver. And this opening is really cool. It plays in the first core My Hero Academia Season 6 during the big war arc. And say what you will about the war arc and the twist that happens at the end with All For One Shigaraki, I really love this opening because of the comic art style that it holds. Just the going back and forth, and also like the it's just a really cool sound design, and how it goes into the comics with Shigaraki sort of waking up and just going back and forth, and with Deku in some scenes, and it is just a really cool design motif for an opening, and one that I enjoy a whole lot. I mean, it is one of my favorite My Hero openings, just from that comic design alone. But with the song with it, I do think it's really good, but it's not as good as some of these other songs are. So my number 5 pick is actually Sora ni Uteda by Amazurashi. This is the 3rd opening to My Hero Academia and plays during the second core of Season 2. So this is during like the Stain arc, and I really enjoy that arc. And I think something that goes along with these songs is, if I actively enjoy the arc and what's going on in the series when they appear, I typically really like the song a bit more, and that bias is really going to come in with my number 1 pick, because I love that arc, and I love the song that goes with it, sort of, right? It's a soundtrack to that arc. I mean, that's how these anime sort of work. So Sora ni Utena is just a really good song that holds a lot of really cool information in it. Being my number 5, I don't think it's perfect, but it's just overall a really good song that holds a bunch of these lines. Like I said, it's the first opening where Deku sort of calls all the Class 1A members around him. So overall, I think that My Hero Academia opening 3, Sora no Utena, is just a really interesting opening that has a lot of interesting sound in it, like the whole thing that sounds like Be a Warlock. I think that's a really interesting sort of thing, and just a really cool art style throughout it. I mean, as you're seeing here on the video, you're probably seeing the beginning right now, which I think has a lot of really good blues to it, as it sort of just keeps going on, and we see a bunch of our characters eventually, the confrontation with Stain, and to end it all off, just the whole plus ultra thing to being a fall of the Class 1A members. It's just a really cool design motif that I really do enjoy. And with that, that is my number 5, so on to my number 4. And again, these 4 are the 4 I think are the best openings in My Hero Academia. And with that, my number 4 is Make My Story by Lenny Code Fiction. This is the second opening this is the opening during the second core of My Hero Academia Season 3, during the whole provisional licensing exam, and everything else that sort of goes on in that arc. So, build up to the big 3 and all of that. I really like this opening just because of that hook, the Make My Story. I just really like that hook, and the visuals are very interesting too. You have a really weird looking center picture of Uraraka at some point. Besides for all of that, this opening sort of sticks in my memory as just a really good and interesting one that has a lot of fun throughout the series, right? And that's really all I have to say about it, but good opening, and it is deserving of my number 4 spot. So my number 3 spot goes to Merry Go Round by Man with a Mission. This is the overall, the 9th opening of My Hero Academia, and the opening that plays during Core 2 of Season 5 during the Endeavor Agency arc, which of course came before, but that's My Academia Season 5 stuff, which was a mess, and the My Villain Academia arc. This is just a really cool rock opening, just a whoa, whoa, it's alright, everything will be alright, whoa, whoa, it's alright. It's just a really cool opening with a lot of rock motifs to it, and overall, a lot of really cool imagery, which is Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku just sitting on the ground, and we don't really have a whole lot of the villains, which is the other key part of this arc, but that's besides the point. It's just still a really good opening overall, and it's my sort of opening. It's that sort of rock type opening that the full song is also really interesting and really the same, being that this is one of the full songs that I have listened to. Now, I would expect that with my number 1 and my number 2 pick, these are obviously songs I think everybody's going to have massively high on their list, and I think my number 2 pick for a lot of people would probably be number 1, but I do really like my number 1 pick more, so it's number 2. So my number 2 pick is Peace Sign by Kenshi Yonzu. This is actually the same guy who recently did the opening to Chainsaw Man, Kick Back, but we're not talking about Chainsaw Man, we're talking about My Hero Academia and Peace Sign. So Peace Sign, I think, is a really good opening. It plays during the Sports Fest, and it's really an opening that just comes out of nowhere, just a whoa, 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 oh, oh, whoa, whoa, wow. It's just a really cool opening that I just really enjoy, mainly for that initial soundtrack and start up to it, and the full song isn't bad at all, and it's just that sort of rock song that I enjoy with these openings, so it's really just peak to me, and I can't talk about it any other way. It's just a really good opening. Now, by this point, you probably know what my number 1 pick is, and that is Polaris, which is the 6th opening to My Hero Academia, and plays during the whole Chihai Saikai arc. I really enjoyed the Chihai Saikai arc personally. I know not everybody loves it, but it is personally my favorite arc of My Hero Academia, and because of that, this is the soundtrack that goes with it, and it's just an opening that every single time, that's why I skip openings, but I just couldn't skip this one at all. I really love the way that the ending goes, where we see Deku and Eri just flying around as Deku finally grabs onto Eri, and just what that arc sort of meant to my hero with the whole changing of the future. And that is just one reason why I think I love Polaris so much. It's, number one, my type of song, just like Make My Story Merry Go Round and Peace Sign are, but it's a song that I also just really enjoy. And to be honest, I don't really have a whole lot more to say about these openings. I hope you sort of enjoyed my list of going down them from 0 to 1. So again, just going through them. So my number 11 pick was Today. From there we went to Star Maker. Number 1, Odd Future, Bokorono, Hitamuki, Sora ni Uteda, Make My Story, Merry Go Round, Peace Sign, and Polaris. See all the P's coming at the end there. But overall, I think My Hero Academia openings are really good, and whether or not you think that the My Hero Academia community is very bad or anything, I have to say, it's pretty good. So, openings are fire, except for a few of them, but overall, I think they're just really good all around. Oh, I don't think I mentioned this, but Polaris is by Blue and Count. In case I didn't mention that, there it is in the video. Alright, this is only Glowplasma231 out.